Seven, 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 seven. わずかな星がふるさとだ。ウルトラセブン、ファイターセブン、ウルトラセブン、セブン、セブン。すずめみんなのパートナーでもウルトラアイデスパー。セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン、セブン。諸星団の名を借りてウルトラセブン、ヒーローセブン、ウルトラセブン、セブン、セブン。倒せ火を吐く大怪獣、ウルトラビームでストライク。
I am gonna go in.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Can do it.
Somehow
Strike
Garamon is
me
returned.
down. Somehow. Not from the Ultra God. Alright. Hello, you are listening to Ultra Q, episode 31. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel.
So last week I may have forgotten to mention in my Japan story that I may have walked by Keiji Inafune in Osaka.
What?
Huh?
I just forgot. But that's it.
First of all, also here, Razan.
Hi, I did not walk by Keiji Inafune ever in my life, I don't think.
Alright,
I'm
now,
not sure
go.
now.
Yeah,
Wait,
so I was just
Yeah?
yeah, so I was just like in on my last day in Osaka. I was just like walking along the underground near the the subway area, and I walked by a guy and we just exchanged glances. And like after I passed him, I was like, wait a minute, I think I've seen that face before. Is that Keiji Inafune? And just like I didn't go and check, but like I know what he looks like, so I think I did pass him.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Yeah, that's sick.
Admittedly, don't have a high opinion of the man anymore, but it is kind of cool. As someone who does like Mega Man, to be like, oh yeah, a guy who at least was involved with it.
Mm-hmm. Realizing I can't go to Japan because the chances of meeting Tomino increase, and I would have to punch him. It's my destiny. I have to do it. Alright. So, today, we got 3 episodes of Ultraseven. They're good episodes. Coming up, we've got Ultraseven's weakness, nuclear metaphors, and the plot of Kamen Rider. But before we get to any of that...
I'd argue that one of these episodes is also the plot of Godzilla.
Yeah. There's a specificity here that's like it gets less its own thing and becomes a little bit I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. Anyway, before we get to any of that, there's a little catch up. First of all, Baldur's Gate 3 has been out for a while, and people talk about it in a way that has made my brain extremely not normal. And I've just been like, I have to play a Western role-playing game immediately. And I already, I'm not going to play Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested. What I did was, I was like, I already own Divinity Original Sin 2, and that's a Larian game. They're the guys that made Baldur's Gate 3. I'll just play that. I have attempted to play that game 3 times. 4 times
Basically
if you count.
Same.
4 times if you count the time I tried to do it co-op. I have quit every time. And this time I was like, well, you know, this time I'm gonna stick. This time I'm not gonna quit. I'm just gonna stick. I'm gonna get clued in. I'm gonna have a great time. And what happens every time is I run into two things. One, it's edgy, but not in like a sincere way. In like a, this is maybe the meanest thing I've ever said about a video game. It has the tone of like webcomics. It's like very, very like tongue-in-cheek. Oh, look at how cruel and evil this world is. And we'll hear all the hot and sexy people that are doing mean things that you're on your team with. And I'm like, okay, is there anyone who like believe, like, it's a game. Now, I don't normally go out of my way to play like good people in this kind of game anymore, but I can tell when they think trying to do the right thing is cringe, and that annoys me. It annoys me when it's like, oh, trying to be a good person, loser. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
KOTOR 2 lady be like.
That is what she's like. God, someday I'll replay that game and find out if that was basically my first RPG ever, was KOTOR 2.
That's a hell of a start.
Yeah. So the other thing that I run into is I think combat in Divinity Original Sin 2 fucking blows. It's like, you know, theoretically I should like it. It's one of these games, the isometric RPGs, but it's turn-based, so I should like it. I don't like it. It sucks because it's like the armor mechanic where everyone has like magic and physical armor is just makes the beginning of fight just a fucking weird slog every time. And you know, because the beginning of the fight is a weird slog and you can't control the battlefield, the end of the fight where you should be able to do, because, you know, you can't do any crowd control unless you have like special abilities and stuff. You can't do any crowd control abilities on you can't apply status effects on people if they've got armor. So what should be like the beginning of the fight where you're like trying to keep the battlefield under control is instead it becomes a mass melee, at which point everyone suddenly unlocks the ability to knock everyone down. And so everyone gets knocked down, and inevitably everyone is either poisoned or on fire, and it's impossible to tell where the border of the fire is, so you can't walk near it because you will burst into flames. And it's just a fucking stupid video game. I hate it. I resent that I spent money on it like 4 years ago and have tried to play it like 4 times, and every time I've just been like, this is fucking annoying. So I realize I'm a hater. I realize this is maybe a controversial opinion, but that's a beloved game. I realize this. This is why I'm not playing Baldur's Gate 3, because I know I don't vibe with these people. I don't vibe with the games they make, clearly. So what I did instead was a game I've also owned for years, Tyranny. I've loaded up Tyranny again, and instead of picking up my original campaign, which I'd got like a little bit after Act 1, I was like, I need a refresher, so I'll start my second character that I always intended to play, because that game, you got a lot of freedom for a lot of scope for different types of evil person you can be, because you are this is Tyranny. The appeal of Tyranny is that you don't get a choice in whose side you're on at the beginning of the game. You're an agent working for the evil emperor, and you're here to quell a rebellion in a newly conquered land. So you're an occupying force, and you're here to either negotiate your way or kill your way into like squashing this rebellion. And my first character I was playing as kind of a spineless loser who's like doesn't want to make enemies, wants to be nice to everyone, but still is, you know, would never rebel against the Emperor, still fundamentally believes in the Emperor's peace or whatever. And I was using that to prod and poke at the game narratively, because like I don't care how badly things wind up for that guy. If things wind up really badly for that guy, that's fantastic, perfect. But it's been too long. So I'm playing Act 1 with my second character, who, her approach is, you know, looking for an excuse to rough people up at every opportunity, and, you know, kind of evil, kind of very ambitious though, and maybe likely to betray the Emperor at the first sign that she could, for like opportunity, but like not for. I'm curious to see how whether the game accounts for betraying the Emperor because you want to help people, and betraying the Emperor because you want to acquire power. It will be interesting to see, because all that game's like intricate socially. There's a lot, because like all your team have two separate. All your team and also the factions have two separate bars that you can fill. You know, for the factions it's favor and wrath, and then for all your team members it's fear and loyalty. And filling one does not reduce the other. So you can have like your characters. You can have characters in your party who are like 100% loyal to you and also 100% terrified of you. And I think that not making that like a sliding scale, I think, is just a very simple and just very like stroke of genius. Just like, oh yeah, fantastic, perfect. And it's there's a lot of like dispensing justice, because like you're a lawyer, basically. You're a lawyer who rocks up to dispense your Judge Dredd. And it's good, and it looks really sick. The art style is fantastic. And yeah, I'm finally scratching the itch that I've had since people have been talking up Baldur's Gate 3 as the greatest game that's ever been made. It's clearly not. Shut the fuck up. Please calm down. That's me. That's kind of what I've been doing for the last week. I've also been watching things, but you know, stuff that is not finished.
I've been watching some of those same things.
Have you ever played Pillars of Eternity? I don't know if I've asked.
I have not, but I do think playing Tyranny, because I know it's like by the same people. I think Pillars of Eternity might be a game I'm interested in.
Because that is just Baldur's Gate serial number filed off, if that's what you're also looking for. So I like Pillars a lot. I'm part of the problem in that I'm one of the people that played and loved the first one and then just like didn't buy the second one right away because I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it later. And then they're like, what the fuck? Nobody bought the sequel, and I'm like, oops, sorry.
It's yeah. There's also something, because I've just been looking into the genre, just because it's been like people, like things that people have been saying have been bugging me, and it's like, oh, it's Baldur's Gate 3 is like a step forward for the genre, and I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? As a step forward to where? Because it's not like further away from tradition. Clearly, it's not like pushing boundaries of what an RPG can be. It is fundamentally.
Well, you see, the original Baldur's Gate games were like advanced D&D, and this one's 5th edition.
Oh, now I understand.
As someone who played the prologue of Baldur's Gate 3, it certainly feels like a 5e campaign, in that the reason I'm having fun is not the core rules of the combat system.
So the one thing about Baldur's Gate combat that I imagine makes that game okay is like, it has occurred to me that if I ran Dungeons and Dragons for one person and just gave them control of a full party, they might enjoy combat. Just because, like, you know, it all comes together in one pic. Like, I realize I am a problem in, like, this is clearly, like, antithetical to Baldur's Gate 3, where it's like, oh, play co-op with all your friends, and I'm like, oh, if you have control over everyone, the game makes sense.
It also, they also did things like add a bunch of, like, weapon-specific skills that are just not in the rules of regular D&D to make combat more interesting than just, oh, you're hitting things. Mm-hmm. They, from what I played, they actually did a lot to be like, oh, okay, let's make this more fun in spite of what we're working with.
Yeah. The thing that I have figured out is that if I wanted to play, like, a 100-hour classic, like, isometric role-playing game, I would probably play one of those Pathfinder games, the ones that have, like, kingdom building mechanics and stuff. Like Pathfinder Kingmaker, it was literally based on, like, an old RPG, like an old Pathfinder campaign book.
A campaign I'm in right now every Thursday.
Oh, sick.
I have some. I'm banned from playing that game until we're done.
That's hilarious.
Here's the thing, and this is not a problem that you will ever experience. So there are 3 versions of the Kingmaker story now, between the original campaign for Pathfinder 1, the video game adaptation, and then
the
remake
version for Pathfinder 2.
Yes, that they incorporated elements from the video game into.
Did they include the guy no one likes?
No, I asked specifically, and I'm sad that he's gone, and I was in the process of trying to get my GM to add him back in. I don't know if she's gonna do it, but
for people listening who don't know what I mean, Pathfinder Kingmaker is a lot of these games come from Kickstarter. Pathfinder Kingmaker is a Kickstarter game. One of the rewards was make an arc of the game, make a quest line, and whoever got to make a quest line, they made just like the most OC bullshit imageable.
Literally teleports behind a guy and stabs him in the back. It's great.
Nothing personnel kid. And a lot of people hate him. I think this sounds like the most hilarious thing in the world and wouldn't change it. But I can understand not wanting to put him into.
The thing about each of them is that I think I've come to the conclusion of what I know of each of these is that there's no perfect version of them. And people are starting to now kind of mix and match. Like, when they run it themselves for their tabletop group, they're mixing and matching things from the previous 2 to, like, put in or throw out.
That's fun.
The kingdom management stuff is very divisive. We home ruled the hell out of it to make it go a little bit faster because, as like rules as written, it's kind of slow for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And I'm having fun with it now that we filled out a few hexes on our fake civilization map and have more interesting choices to make. But at the start, it was very like, oh, we're just like running the routine of here's the list of things we're allowed to do. Because until you level up your kingdom enough, there's like a lot of skills and actions in the kingdom management part that are like, you're not allowed to do this yet because you don't have the adequate skill. And that's just not very fun or interesting. But
yeah. Anyway. That is me. I just wanted to get in and just quickly mention playing Tyranny. Tyranny fucking rules. Athletics, simply the greatest social skill in a video game. Like, you walk up to people and they say, yeah, I'm not gonna, here's this thing that I'm gonna sell you. And you clearly identify it as, like, being stolen, and you simply click Athletics 35, lift him from the ground, and demand where he got it. It's perfect. I love to be kind of evil. Anyway, that's me. Who's up?
I have barely anything to talk about, so I can go through this real quick. Mostly because I've been watching and doing stuff, but I'm either like halfway through the process on it, or it's like struck shit I'm not going to talk about because of the ongoing strike. But I did rewatch Ghost in the Shell, the classic hit anime movie, because I'm just in a movie watching mood ever since I got that fucking TV, because things look nice on it, and I'm like, I want to revisit all the pretty movies and see how they look on good TV. I don't have anything to say about Ghost in the Shell that you haven't heard before. It's a fucking great movie.
I watched it for the first time last year.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
fun. I'm excited to rewatch Innocence, which is probably my favorite Oshii movie. It's a tie between that and Red Spectacles.
I do see Innocence.
Innocence is so good. But yeah,
Ghost in the Shell. The one thing 95 Ghost in the Shell has over Innocence, well, there's two things, but the one big thing is Ghost in the Shell 1995 is an under 90-minute movie, including credits.
It is wild how economical that movie is while still having the slow meditative Oshii shots. It's ridiculous.
It is a slow movie, kind of. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It can be done.
As they say, your effort to remain what you are is what limits you. That line hits me like a truck every fucking time I watch that movie. The other thing I did is actually I have a recommendation for anyone looking for a indie award-winning made by one student game developer horror adventure point-and-click game. I decided that I wanted to stream something, because, this is just the thing I do with my group of friends or whatever. It's like we're all just like playing a random thing from our Steam library, and then we just stream it to everyone else on Discord, and like it's been a minute since I've done that on my end. I'm like, I want to stream something fun for everyone to watch. So I decided to pick up a game called Who's Lisa? Do either of you know what this is?
Isn't
that
hang on. Is it related to Lisa?
Or sorry, Who's Lila, not Lisa.
Okay. No.
I've never heard of this.
So this seems like it's newer. I think it's either late last year or early this year it came out. And I think it kind of made waves through like the like indie sort of like itch.io style like community or whatever. It is a game that is very David Lynch inspired. It looks like a Game Boy. It's like if someone made a point-and-click adventure game and did the visual novel thing where everything's just a photo, but they took the photos with the Game Boy camera.
Fantastic.
But everything animates as though, like, it's smooth 3D animation, but just rendered out and through, like, that filter. It's very unique. Very Lynchian. The game starts, and you have the strangest high school student who looks like he's played by a 30-year-old man, and he basically looks at the camera and says, I've always struggled conveying my emotions. And on the right-hand side of the screen is a digitized, like, face of his. And, in Mario 64, when you're on the title screen where you get to move the Mario face around?
Okay.
That is the central gameplay mechanic of this game. When you're having conversations with people, you have to shift his face around with your cursor to perform one of 6 emotional responses. And depending on what emotion you're presenting after that timer fills up, people will respond in the world to you differently. There are 15 branching paths, kind of. Basically, what it seems like the game's set up as, there are 15 endings. And once you get all 15, you uncover the mystery of what's going on here. This is something that I feel like it's very easy to give away too much if I even explain basic premise stuff. But you play as a high school boy who is the person who has last seen a girl who has gone missing. A lot of people don't like you because you're kind of a creep. You may or may not be involved with a cult. And the police are looking for you. Go from there. A lot of really cool stuff where when you start to piece together how the game is structured, it gets a lot more interesting. Like, the one thing I will say is that you have like a little intro sequence that you play through every playthrough, and keep in mind these playthroughs don't last any longer than like an hour, so you're doing like 30 to an hour worth of adventure game stuff, and then you're getting an ending, and then you start over to unlock more endings. But you basically have this little like chore you do at the beginning of the game, and then once you're done with that, it's like, okay, go to the bus stop, and here's like a list of all of the known locations you have, and they'll save between playthroughs. But every time you go to one of those different locations, it gives you a date, and they don't line up. Like, you're... It's told out of order in a very interesting way. The game also does a good job, and this is something I'm definitely not going to say too much for, but it does a good job of going kind of meta and leaning into like the modern internet horror ARG type stuff, but in a way that like you don't need to go look up a Reddit thread of assholes with no lives figuring this out for you.
Okay.
It's like links to web pages and downloading documents that you are provided easy access to, sort of thing, but within the confines of like a puzzle game. It gets really cool. I would say if you're looking for a fun and relatively digestible, like, this thing seems pretty short. Unless, like, some of these endings go on for hours, but just, I don't think they do. I have 5 out of the 15 endings, and they've all been pretty easy to get. I think this would be a good thing to go through in, like, October if you're looking for just a fluffy little horror piece that would be fun, so... I will check back in because I'm assuming I'm going to beat it within the week.
It looks sick.
It's pretty neat. I just stumbled onto it because it was like, sometimes the algorithm serves you well, and for whatever reason Steam was like, oh hey, this is, you know, like a trending thing right now, and I was like, this has a unique art style, and I picked it up, so. Cool game.
Alright. Mal.
To be honest, I don't really have much this week, partly because I was watching a bunch of stuff that is like Red, not finished yet. So there's much to go off of.
We are, in fact, watching one same show at the same pace, roughly.
Yeah. And another show that I was going to bring for today, but then I saw it doesn't end until next week, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, tune in next week to find out about the girls who are not being normal.
The girls are not okay.
The girls are not okay, and they're in a band, and it's their go.
Yeah. Yesterday, I will say yesterday, I got near the end of Disc 1 of Xenogears, and, I could have finished, but for various reasons, had other stuff going on, I didn't. But I do want to just comment.
That's the furthest I've gotten in that game.
I do just want to comment. If you are going to have a really shocking reveal, it probably would help not to name the in-universe thing after a famous movie which has the exact same reveal.
Oh no! Can you, bearing in mind, I'm probably not going to play this game. Can you type in the chat what the movie is? Okay. That's really funny. That's so stupid. You can't do it. Everyone knows that. It's the most famous quote from the movie.
That's good.
People know the twist of the movie more than they know the movie.
Yeah. I've never watched that movie. I know what happens. All right.
It is really funny. The only other main thing of substance it is I've read a short visual novel, but said visual novel is an epilogue to a longer series of visual novels I read 2 years ago, and so I don't know how to talk about the follow-up to something without spoiling the main narrative.
What's the original visual novel?
I'll just say that I was just promptly inspired. I don't know why. Perhaps it was me being in Japan, hearing the sound of cicadas. But now that I've finished with that, I am ready to emotionally take a ferry to an island at my choosing to soak in the sound of the seagulls.
I assume that's I assume that's something to do with a visual novel. I don't know.
I get it.
Yes. Anyway,
I will join you on that journey after I'm done going through the first one of those.
Yeah, I have to go do the. I'm confused. Go private message me what you meant, because I'm being funny for a bit by being vague. Oh yeah. I did that. That's the one. That takes a bit. That is the one I did the epilogue of, by the way, just for context. But anyway. Speaking of small bombs, let's talk about Ultraseven.
Yeah, let's talk about fucking Ultraseven. Ultraseven this week, we got 3 episodes. Fucking great episodes. We are starting with episode 25, Showdown at 100... Oh, now, I'm not sure on this title. Showdown at 140 degrees below zero.
Return to the North... Oh, wait, no, it's Showdown at 140 degrees. Yes.
Okay, we're good.
Correct.
We're good.
Return to the North was the last episode from last time.
A localized snowstorm hits the Ultra Guard headquarters and the surrounding area. The TDF and the Ultra Guard huddle inside the base, which will continue to be heated so long as their atomic generators keep running. Disaster strikes at the base as the generators shut down. Upon investigation, it turns out the generators have been damaged by a kaiju which drilled through the wall of the underground generator room. Meanwhile, Dan has spent this episode caught outdoors, on patrol, and the narrator helpfully informs us that Ultraseven has a weakness. Being from the land of light, Seven suffers from the cold more than most humans. Dan is visited in visions by the weirdest motherfuckers in this show so far, the alien pole, who brag about how their plan is really cool and the humans will fail, and Dan's like, no, they will succeed.
And can I say, sound like they look.
Yeah.
They got weird. This feels like something that, like, a 2000s era, like, internet reviewer would have used for a bit.
Alf and the
know what I mean?
motherfuckers coming up. Telling the Ultraseven how he sucks and they're gonna kill you, man.
Yeah, it's so good. These tiny little things.
The funniest part about this is, like, he has the vision of, like, them with, like, the backdrop of fire, as if they're, like, making fun of him. It's like, yeah, I bet you it was warm, wasn't it? Stupid.
Oh, you'd love a little fire, wouldn't you? Nah, none for you. Die. Fucking low tier god.png at Ultraman throughout the episode. Then the kaiju leaves the base and starts terrorizing Dan, who has lost his glasses in the snow. He sends out a capsule kaiju while he tries to find the Ultra Eyes. Back indoors, the base doctor, who isn't Anne, I don't know who this dude is. Why is he her superior? Is protesting that the base is the center of the snowstorm, and if they can only evacuate out to where it's warmer, then no one has to freeze to death. The rest of the indoor portion of this episode is people keeling over due to the cold, while the TDF colonel insists, we can't leave the base. It's possible this blizzard is a prelude to an alien invasion. It is the TDF's duty to defend the Earth. Just as the colonel starts to relent, some hero downstairs reactivates the generator.
I think it's Furuhashi.
Is it Furuhashi?
It's hard to tell, but I think it's Furuhashi.
Okay, Furuhashi. Good job,
He can have
Furuhashi.
a W.
Yeah, we'll give you this dub.
He can have a W after not speaking to his mom.
Yeah, after thinking, I'm going to go speak to my mum, and then going like, what if I had a really good conversation with my mom?
The mom in my head is superior, says Furuhashi.
She's not mean to me. She doesn't tell me to quit my job. It's honestly maybe like the most relatable bit in all of the Ultra series so far is Furuhashi being like, I'm gonna go talk to my parents, and making the trip over there and being like, I don't want to fucking talk to my mom. I don't want to fucking do it. I want to go home. I'm just gonna, maybe she'd say nice things to me if I had a conversation with her right now. I bet she would. I don't have to do it, so I'm going home. It's fantastic. So we'll give him the dub. Dan finds his glasses, turns into Ultraseven, and has to fly to the sun to heal up. Proper Superman shit.
we get a shot of him, which I think is just like inside the sun, which is really funny.
Oh, fantastic. He comes back and defeats the kaiju. Alien spell like... Spell?
No, Paul.
No, Paul. The other
That's
one.
the bad one.
Alien spell's the bad one. Alien Paul are like, yeah, alright, you win, but we've weakened you, Seven. You might have to deal with some kind of time limit now, and then they fuck off.
I don't think this ever comes up. I forget.
It's so funny. And then they fuck off. Dan is satisfied.
It should be worth noting, they also specifically say, you didn't actually beat us, it was the human spirit who beat us by...
Yes!
I think you'll find it was actually Furuhashi that beat us. It wasn't you. So don't you go taking credit for this. We'll fight you another time. The sun was in my eyes, etc., etc. And then, yeah, they leave. Dan is satisfied that he and the TDF will always protect the Earth in the face of adversity. The end.
More on that episode, next episode.
Yeah. This episode
Anyway.
First of all, this episode's cool.
It's good fun.
It's very cool.
I like Dan being separated from the rest of the team as just everyone in the base is just struggling against like just the tension between we might be wasting lives, or if we retreat we might literally lose because this might literally be an attack to get us to leave the base.
Yeah.
And
you finish your thought.
my thought was kind of finished. You
I
go
just don't want
ahead.
to interrupt. Okay. Just two things right off the bat. One, we didn't talk about it in the Human Farm episode last week, but it came up again in this episode. The pointer can fly.
So yes, the pointer decides to fly suddenly. I didn't notice it in the Human Farm episode. I did notice it this week.
Yeah, they fly it over the ocean for a bit in that episode.
Yeah. So the pointer they fly now.
This is why every time the kids see it, they're like, "This is the coolest shit in the world."
Yeah, hell yeah!
It
it's the pointer,
is cooler than the SSSP car for sure.
which was just a car with their logo on it. It was so funny. They had all these high-tech gadgets, and then for the one that they have to actually drive around in real life, they just have a normal car.
I'm just thinking about like how Dan is like both simultaneously the pride and joy of the Ultra Guard and also their most consistent designated driver. Also, I do just want to point out that like it is kind of wild that they're like, oh yeah, Dan, just walk back to base, and it's like a minus 140 degrees Celsius outside. Like,
so this happened in Ultra Q in the Pegula episode when someone started talking some mad shit about being like sub 100 degrees Celsius, and I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, you're all dead. What are you talking about?
Like he would like step outside and like freeze instantly. Like you can't fucking do that.
How cold is minus 140 Celsius?
Like, I'm pretty sure like Antarctica does not get that cold.
No,
like, because that's negative 220 Fahrenheit, Rasen. So yeah, this is dead. This is instant death numbers.
While we're getting
this happened
science
in
wrong,
Ultra
I
Q,
would
it's
say
happening
that
here
there's
again,
been
but it's fine.
technically been more than 2 ice ages.
Oh yeah, he's like, we're here to make the Ice Age. We're here to do it. And we're gonna kill you. So yeah, the alien pole are like these little like, they're like tissues on sticks, shot in like silhouette.
I think they were. I think when I looked up, trying to look up background info and stuff, it looked like, I think they were puppets as well. But,
yeah.
Oh, they're the most puppety of all of the puppets we've
it
seen
is very
so
cool
far.
getting a lot of puppets this season,
Mm-hmm.
up to and including Alien Pool.
Up to and include, yeah.
They add a lot to this episode just as little hecklers. It's so good.
It's like, this is... When we're in hater mode, this is us. I'm looking at this image.
Yes.
This is... it's
See,
fantastic.
It adds so much. Like, any person could snap one of these over their knee like a twig. And they just talk so much shit. It's great.
They're doing the little guy. I'm a little guy. It's my birthday.
Basically. Also, are they called Alien Pole because, like, North-South Pole is cold? Is that it?
It probably is. I've also said that I've seen a discrepancy in the spelling, whereas like both pole as in, North-South Pole, but also pole as in polling station, and like why...
Like Ultraseven go to the Alien Pole?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
I'm not sure which one's
Pokemon.
True.
Yeah, the other thing, and this will come up again, is watching... Ultraseven gets his ass kicked a lot this week.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. It's like, now I don't know if this is true, but I remember someone telling me that this was true, and so completely anecdotal, is someone told me that Vegeta gained like a huge fan base among women when he started losing fights and crying about it. This was like me with Ultraseven, like, oh, he's losing. Oh, you can do it.
I have to say, I don't know if I can verbalize why exactly, but the weakness to the cold does kind of come out of nowhere, but it works. I don't know why, but I do like that he has a vulnerability, Superman style.
To be fair, there's a lot of things in the past 2 seasons where it's like, well, that came out of nowhere and never gets brought up again.
Yeah, but
like
for some
Ultraman can
reason,
teleport.
this one didn't feel as intrusive to me.
I think they come up with like a decent explanation for it, where it's like, well, yeah, the Land of Light wouldn't have winter. That makes sense into some logical degree.
Yeah, and as far as I remember, we haven't been anywhere snowy with Dan yet, really, have we? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Furuhashi went to Hokkaido last week, but otherwise, incidentally, just some background info trivia. This week, like episode 24 and episode 25 were basically filmed alongside each other around the same time, because they were like both using indoor sets for like winter scenes, because there wasn't snow, and then by coincidence there was this one day where there was actual snow, which is how you get both the Furuhashi in the truck scene and the Dan at the end of the episode scene. They were just like, oh yeah, we're going to take advantage of the snow for these shots, so they're like filmed basically at the same time, which is interesting.
Practical.
Nice. Yeah, take every opportunity you can. I think it's weird that I get that I get that the TDF guys are the ones actually in charge of the TDF, but it seems like a little bit of a waste to give the drama of command to the guy that's not our captain.
Yeah, and also not Anne.
Yeah, and there's just a doctor in this episode that is inserted as the voice of, shouldn't we evacuate? There are people, like, you have characters for this, or you have Anne. She's right there. She could be the one saying, and, what we would then run into is the light misogyny of, she's the one saying, give up the fight, and the men are like, no, we have to stand our ground. But, that's, I just feel like that's better than what we get. Which is neither of our Ultra Guard characters are really involved in the decision making. They're not doing the Star Trek thing. The Star Trek thing where Dr. McCoy Bones is like making like the impassioned plea, and Captain Kirk has to have like has to be in command. It's it's easy, very basic stuff. And they squandered it a little bit, but it's still a good episode.
Yeah, on that note, just like, I got like some trivia from Tribe last when I was watching episode 26, just about like Anne being in the show and stuff.
Okay.
basically they're a lot of the times it's not like the writers necessarily being 60 sexist. It was like, and sometimes didn't want to travel too much to do action scenes, and so that's why they didn't put her in some episodes or in some parts of episodes. So it's because of her.
You know what? Get that back. You're all right then, I guess.
We can give the writers a pass if it's just like, oh yeah, no, and just doesn't want to do it. She is.
You want me to go into the mountains? Shut the fuck up. I'll turn up the set. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Also, the kaiju this episode, I think there's some cool somersaults or something.
Mm-hmm. What is the
I think I
kaiju's
read
name?
also Gandar.
Ganda.
I think I read on like I'm getting like once again Ultopia blog is where I'm getting some of this background info. I think I read that like the suit actor was particularly young for this kaiju. And he went on to have a long career, so that's pretty
Okay.
Cool. I
cool.
actually don't know the name of it. Right off the top of my head, I'll check it. So.
Nice.
And we can just continue the discussion.
Yeah. I don't have all that much more to say. Raz, you got anything?
No, I liked this one overall. I think that it was solid. I was a little worried going into it, like, oh no, is the cold thing going to be like a slightly different version of, oh no, we're underground and running out of oxygen? And it did not feel like that at all. Like actual like good drama. So
We kind of wrapped this episode, I think.
yeah. I have the production stuff, I guess.
Oh,
we
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
get to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Also,
Nothing
Nicholas was
exciting this week, honestly, on that front. So this one was written by Kazuho Mitsuda and then written by Tetsuo Kinjo. I don't think I'm going to give the what everyone worked on thing for this week just because we've been talking about these guys for fucking weeks on end now. So
Yeah.
The interesting
For
thing
the record, you still do need to do the spreadsheet.
yeah.
The interesting thing for me is going to be this next episode. Who wrote it is what I want to know. So, moving on to episode 26, Super Weapon R1.
Yes.
Yep, good.
Yeah. Yes.
Remember how last week an episode just casually dropped that the TDF was developing space nukes as part of humanity's expansion into the stars? Well, whoever wrote episode 26 remembered and wasn't fucking happy about it. The newly developed superweapon R1 is an interstellar ballistic missile that can destroy planets, and everyone's really excited to test it, except Dan, who's like, it's a what? What the fuck is wrong with you people? He questions the team. Is any act, no matter how horrifying, acceptable if it's in defense of the Earth? And what happens when aliens just build even bigger weapons? The answers he gets less than satisfying. You know, it's stuff like, well, then we'll build even bigger. And Dan says a line that's like, that's a sad marathon to run while choking up blood, which is, it goes hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great line. And they know it too, because it keeps coming up.
Yeah, they do it a couple of times. The TDF locate a planet they believe is uninhabited, they believe so wrong, and test their missile, destroying the planet. Except, of course, it was fucking inhabited, and now Geron, a vengeful alien kaiju mutated by radiation, is on its way to fuck up the Earth. It arrives, but the Ultra Guard honestly managed to destroy the alien pretty handily without Ultraseven's help. Everyone's like, okay, well, that was alarming. Can't believe it survived R1. Better start working on R2 immediately. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. It'll be so destructive that its mere existence will ensure eternal peace because no one will dare mess with us. And they're all laughing, and Dan's in the background just like, what? Internally dying. Anyway, overnight, the destroyed Geron reforms and resumes its rampage, now stronger than before. The TDF scientists beg for permission to use the soon-to-be complete R2 on the kaiju. It's the only way! Ultraseven sees the cycle for what it is and heads out to fight the kaiju. This is the best fight in the show!
Yes.
It's so sick.
It ends with Ultraseven wrestling Geron to the ground after, like, proper beatdown between the two. Taking the boomerang.
First, you need the context.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, you need the context of, like, he's like, getting tossed around, and he just, like, starts flexing like Yasunobu, and tears the kaiju's arm off.
Yeah, takes the boomerang off his head, It's called the boomerang, right? I am getting that right.
The eye slugger.
The
The
slugger.
ultra slugger or something. Slugger.
Where have I got boomerang from?
I mean,
is a boomerang.
it basically
Okay.
acts like a boomerang and how it
The slug. He
operates.
takes this off his head and uses it to stab Geron in the throat, and a spray of green blood coats Ultraseven's face, and I was like, oh my god, holy shit. Dan is resting back up at base, and the scientists realize the error in their ways. It was their fault that Geron went on a rampage instead of existing peacefully on its home world. They will not continue development on R2. When Dan hears the news, he is overjoyed. The end.
This episode
also
fucking rules.
Yeah, the same episode is really good. Also, Anne has a chipmunk in a in a wheel for some reason.
Yes, Anne has a chipmunk in a wheel. The actual ending is, she's got like a pet, whatever it is, chipmunk, and when it's running in its wheel, Dan's looking at it mournfully as he thinks about the people of Earth, real Earth, running in the wheel of the arms race, the Cold War, and I think it's really funny that there's like 3 or 4 people working on Ultraman who are like not evil. And every now and then have to pipe up and just be like, no, okay, listen.
Red, can I break your brain a little bit?
Go ahead.
So this was directed by Toshitsugu Suzuki, as we all know, the Mephiles Man, and then written by Bunzo Wakatsuki. The other episodes of the show Bunzo Wakatsuki has written include the episode from a few weeks back about the professor who was secretly an alien. I called the lost member of Daft Punk, the Chaplay guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Also has written The Suspicious Neighbor.
What?
And then also Dark Zone, the Pegasus episode.
Okay, that one's all right.
Okay. This is tied with the Pegasus episode, I think, for being my favorite episode of the show. I am baffled it is written by the guy who also wrote The Suspicious Neighbor.
Okay,
It is cool to know that the Pegasus and this episode were the same guy.
Okay, I guess thinking that the world, thinking that people should stop building nuclear weapons, I guess, is not an idea exclusive to people who who are normal about spying on your neighbors. This is a great episode. This is Dan is Hayata could fucking never.
Yeah.
He's like unconscious inside his own body. Spoilers for the end of Ultraman.
If you're here and you haven't watched Ultraman, honestly, fair play, I guess. But watch the last
Ultraman
episode.
would return to the Land of Light to find additional venture capital for the development of R2.
He'd be so down. He'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna build space nukes? Oh, then I don't have to hang around forever. That's why I've been here, is waiting for you to get your own defenses, so I don't have to genocide people for you. Oh, you're growing up so fast."
It is funny just how much the glee the scientists have in their face. Where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna wipe out this planet.
Oh yeah,
and Dan's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck are you guys saying? Do you hear yourself?"
The accuracy of this being playing with toys is fantastic. Just the brilliant. Just kids being like, "Damn, this missile is going to be bigger. It's going to explode more. It's going to be 10 times as big."
Like, we could do R3. We could do R4, Ridge Racer.
Anyone who has watched Code Geass will tell you the R1 and R2 are very different.
True.
Anyway.
So...
go ahead, Mel.
Besides like how visceral the fight is, like, he does slice the kaiju's throat and also tear its arms off first while pinning it down.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, I really like the location sets for the fight. Like when Garon first comes to Earth, it's fighting in like a ruined city with like archways or something.
Yes,
It's good.
It's like these gothic ruins. It's fantastic.
And then like the slime comes out of the buildings and as it reforms. And then in the main fight with Seven, it's like fighting this flowery field, and like there's like a good shot of like just like Seven rising out of the because like it tore off its arms and like feathers through everywhere, and so like this feathers flowing in the river while like there's flower fields, and it just it looks good. It's a good looking episode.
Garon is gooey, and it adds a lot. The reforming thing in particular, which is very obviously just like rewound footage of taking it apart, like it like coming apart, melting or whatever. But because it's all like gooey and stuff, and it's a really good. It's like watching those really bougie expensive chocolate desserts where it's like they pour the melted chocolate over it, and it's like a dome and it crumbles in. It's like that.
Oh, you mean like the bird in the fountain in Jack and Jill, the Adam Sandler movie?
I have not watched Jack and Jill, the Adam Sandler movie. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have brought this up if someone hadn't made some cursed fan art for the Twitter account.
Oh my
god.
God.
Red, why would you do that?
Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Known MS Paint criminal.
I do have to say though, like this is very specific, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I thought I'd bring it up, but for anyone who knows, and I know this might be too niche of a reference for this podcast audience, but like the stage, or like the setting, the set piece of like this ruined, like these ruins where all of the early kaiju stuff happens here, it looks exactly like Moonlit Wilderness from Tekken, almost. It's so scenic, and it's just gorgeous to look at. I loved watching this thing reform. It was so cool.
I'm looking up Moonlit Wilderness right now.
Honestly,
wonder,
something else I
do see it.
couldn't help but think, too, is this kaiju felt very Go Nagai to me. Like, this felt like something that could show up in a Devilman, and I wouldn't, think twice. Very comic booky design in a fun way, but at the same time still feels close enough to being at the heart of like Ultra 7 kaiju design that it doesn't feel out of place by any means, and it doesn't distract from the episode's messaging at all either. I feel just really, really phenomenal kaiju fight on top of a outstandingly told story about obviously like arms race stuff. So
the one part of this episode that I would go back and change is obviously you can't do this. You have to play the music when the fight is happening. When Ultra 7 is winning, you have to play his victory music. Don't play it in this episode. Obviously, they have to. But if I was going back, I'd be like, you know what? Not this time. Play something a little sadder.
It sometimes I do feel like it is a bit overused, just like how it's mandatory every time he transforms. Sometimes I'm like, please, took me out of the episode.
Mm-hmm. It's because it's like, he's killing a thing that he did not have to kill. Like it could have lived perfectly peacefully on its planet if humans had not nuked it, and him killing it to save humanity should be very sad. And
I also like how the episode is like, they talk about like, oh yeah, we did a test for months and we confirmed there was life on the planet, and then later when the kaiju is coming to Earth, it's like, well, you see, the planet had like this amount of heat and it was like this and this, so there's no way life could have possibly been there. So it's like they didn't actually confirm, they were just like, well, logically there was no life.
Yeah, we confirmed, and by confirmed we mean with like, probably like a couple of percent margin of error. That's basically confirmed. It's good. It's obviously it's like subtext is for cowards. It's so obvious, and like you could say it's like ham-fisted, but like it's fine. It's just very direct. Sometimes direct is good. Being like we're testing it on like people because literally, like you said, literally the plot of Godzilla is, based on what was it, Lucky Dragon 5 or whatever, who got caught up in a test, in a nuclear test. There's, all sorts of people getting their lives ruined by nuclear testing.
I do want to just throw some trivia out at you. This episode was, for a time, but not permanently, banned as well.
Huh?
After the March 2011 earthquake, tsunami, nuclear disaster, was basically when they pulled this episode and stopped showing it, but now it's sort of like back in rotation.
Okay.
Is it
not worth dwelling on it?
Is there specific imagery that they didn't like, or is it just like overall because it's talking about like the weaponry that?
Maybe it was like maybe it's just like a general nuclear themes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, I guess since they're like it is on the disc and you can watch it, and like they are like airing it again on like their official channels, then it's I guess it was sort of like a enough time passed. That's cool.
Just like like a sensitivity issue of not right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just I'm surprised because I feel like there's other episodes that it would have made sense to do that with too, even over this one, but I don't know.
Yeah, not like Alien Spell, which is locked away forever.
I just think this episode is very clear about what it's about, and I just don't think it's about nuclear disaster like that. It's just it's just not about that.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, while trying to look up stuff about this episode, I found like a Toru Naruto quote, which I think also goes pretty hard.
Oh, go for it.
Toru Naruto,
I frequently disagree with him, but if he goes hard, I'll give it to him.
He says, "A show for children requires even more efforts than one for adults, because you can't fool them."
All right, Toru Naruto. I'd love to know exactly what you mean by that, but it does sound cool.
I guess if he's like maybe talk about just like sometimes you have to be like
they don't lie to themselves.
Yeah, like I guess it's like the idea that like kids aren't propagandized the way adults are. So
I would argue Ultraman is propaganda for kids.
I mean,
kids,
and to some degree, isn't that not what all children's programming is?
Spy on your neighbors. Keep an eye on them. If they start saying anything that sounds like they might be a dirty red, you tell the police. All right. Do we have a production? We've already talked about who directed and wrote this, right? Because it was relevant.
Yeah, Toshitsugu Suzuki and Bunzo Wakatsuki for director and writer, respectively.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do we have anything else to say about episode 26, Super Weapon R1? Is there anything that we've missed?
I just love this episode. That's all I got to say.
It's really good. One of the best ones so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, on to episode 27, Operation Cyborg. A friend of Soga named Nogawa and his fiancée Sanai were on their way to the Ultraguard base to announce their engagement when their car got tractor-beamed into a UFO hiding in a swamp. Sanai escaped the car and gets picked up by the Ultraguard. She says Nogawa is missing, and the investigation begins. Meanwhile, underwater, Nogawa is turned into a cyborg by Shocker, by which I mean the alien Borg, and he's given the task of infiltrating the TDF base and blowing it the fuck up using tiny little, the subs call them plate bombs. I will call them that. I don't know it's a technical term, but Nogawa's first stop is Sanai. He's not gonna blow up his wife, his fiance. He asks her to keep it a secret that he's returned, as he has a secret mission to do first. I think this is like the first sign that he has retained some control of himself, as he visited his fiance first. Nogawa heads to the base, and the guard all celebrate having found Soga's missing friend. Meanwhile, Dan is in the background going, "Why is he talking a complete monotone?" I feel like we've been through this before. So he follows Nogawa.
It is funny how It is funny how like Dan is the only one who never notices anything.
Yeah, it's like
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if like how are these guys the elite?
so he follows. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it makes me funny that the Ultra Guard is considered the elite, but also if this is the elite, maybe they need an alien like Ultraseven to get the message.
Yeah. He follows Nogawa around precisely one corner and finds a bunch of unconscious guards and sounds the alarm. It's like literally like walks out of this conversation and just goes, I'm just gonna trail him a little bit, turns a corner and goes, oh my god. The guard eventually catch Nogawa in the act of planting his little plate bombs and sends Dan in to confront him while they stay at a safe distance. So they all watch in silence as Dan gets his ass kicked with his life on the line for like a full minute, as Nogawa's cyborg strength is no joke. The rest of the gang intervenes at last and Soga knocks out Nogawa with a special round, but now they have two problems. One, can we reverse the cyborg mind control? And two, we got to find the rest of these bombs. Number one should be possible if we all make it through this alive. But number two is made a little tricky by one of the bombs being hidden in plain sight on the boot of Dan, who is resting up in the sickbay. In his sleep, Nogawa reveals the location of the alien Borg, and the captain and Anne head off to bomb the shit out of that swamp. The Borg are forced to flee their UFO, and one of them, in human disguise, infiltrates the base and raids the sickbay, intending to kill Nogawa for betraying the Borg. Dan intervenes and gives chase, turning into Ultraseven for a fight against the giant Borg. He wins, beheading the Borg, and the day is saved. Don't worry about the last bomb, forget about it. Time skip. Nogawa and Sanai get married, and the whole Ultra Guard got an invite. The end. I don't know what happened with that last bomb.
Yeah.
I think he just threw it at him.
It's just gone.
Because they're like, oh, Dan, they're like, Ultraseven, the last bomb is on you, and then Ultraseven, who is, for some reason, flailing down a cliff.
It's really funny. So, at some point during the fight, Ultraseven is dangling, quote-unquote, off a cliff. He's lying pretty, like, safely diagonally on the ground. He could stand up.
He can also fly. He there's precedent for him flying, so he's not in danger.
Yes, he can also fly. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna fall. What are you talking about? Also, you can put your feet on the ground. You're fine. It's the fucking Always Sunny falling off the roof thing. But yes, otherwise, this episode's pretty cool. It's Nogawa's whole... This is, I think, a better episode version of the earlier Ultraseven episode where we had two of them infiltrate the base at the same time.
I agree.
There's like that touch of drama with Nogawa in terms of like, oh no, can he return to how he was before? The answer is yes, but like, you know, before that we've got like him visiting his fiancée and being like, I'm going on a mission. I will be back, but you can't tell anyone I'm here. And it's like, well, why did you visit your fiancé? Why would you do that? Unless, yeah, I think the Borg are cool.
It's neat.
Yeah.
This is, I feel like, one of the simpler plots we've had in a while, but it doesn't. It's not harmed because of it at all. Like it's still pretty effective at telling the story.
Yeah. Apparently the Borg suit was sort of like based on an armored human design from the unaired episode that was originally only episode 23.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Which, you know, to the audience, I found a recording dramatization of that Anne's actress did. So we'll figure out how to squeeze that in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll tell you when you do it.
Nice.
I think something else.
Oh, go ahead.
It is funny how the episode starts with like Nogawa and his fiance. They're just chilling, and they're like, because like he's like Soga's friend, and he's like, you know, he's like my senpai, but also he'll probably be mad that I have a fiance before he gets a girlfriend.
That is pretty good. This is Nogawa like coming off in like the first 30 seconds of this episode as an incredibly cool guy, as he's literally just pulled up his car on the side of the road to have a drink, and is like, now remember, we got to be careful because I think Soga might be a little jealous of me. Perfect.
I also think it's funny. I was like, oh yeah, he got turned into a cyborg. They put a chip in his brain and did nothing else to him.
I mean, he's got that super strength, so presumably he's just still got that. Presumably he's living Kamen Rider right now, but like married. What if Kamen Rider was a newly married
Was a wife
sitcom?
guy?
What if Kamen Rider was a wife guy?
The guy from Geats would not appreciate that.
Is he not a wife guy?
I do think
like
the scene where the car starts to get like sucked into like the swamp or whatever, and she's just going like, I can't remember what exactly she says, but she says it as if he's doing it on purpose, and he's clearly not, it's so funny.
It's like, why are you reversing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
We're going that way. What's this? The Borg design that I actually like is the human disguise with the weird crystal that it flashes and shoots people, which is very cool. I want that thing. It doesn't have to work, but there's just like weird, huge, oversized crystal that is, you point at people and just goes whoosh, and they fall over. Maybe dead, maybe unconscious. I suppose unconscious because she hits Furuhashi, doesn't she?
Yeah.
He ain't dead.
He ain't dead.
He ain't dead. He's fine. He replaced his helmet.
No one's gonna get that joke.
No one's gonna get that joke, but that's fine. We get that joke. This podcast is for us. Everyone else is a guest.
Damn.
As well, come on in. Guests in our home. We're not rearranging the furniture.
Saying to sit down at our short table where the alien metro has.
Yeah.
We put space opium in our podcast.
We put space opium in our podcast. I can't do that. That I'm disallowed. British people not allowed to put space opium in things.
Overall, I thought, yeah, like this is just a solid ass episode of the show. I feel like of the 3 this week, I didn't care about this one as much, but that's not like saying anything bad about this episode. It's just that the previous 2 we talked about were just so fucking good. So this is a strong ass 2 weeks for Ultraseven, I feel.
Yeah, if it can keep up at this kind of rate, this is just a fantastic show. I expect we'll have a couple of dips. That's how it is. But this is
sometimes you have alien spell.
Sometimes you have alien spell. We had
most people don't have alien spell.
We had like a dry spell in the dry shut anyway. Kill me. We had a dry spell in the teens, I think. But it's really picking up again.
Mm-hmm. And even then, I at least appreciate that. I feel like when Ultraseven has a dry spell, I don't feel like I'm enduring like I did during Ultraman's dry spell when it was kind of figuring out what it was.
Ultraseven's dry spell includes, the whole time the alien was menacing you, the plan was actually written on the dress that I bought you. I'm like, ooh, you put this on daytime television? This is filth.
And also a giant eyeball talking to a child carrying a weird rock.
Yeah. What about anything like the first 10 episodes of Ultraman?
That plant was okay.
Yeah.
I do like that plant. We have the Baltons in the first episode, in the second episode.
He killed 2 billion people in the second episode of the show. What the fuck was Ultraman on?
Also, hey, milestone. We we're like halfway through the show now,
Oh, that's a good
God,
point.
you're right.
and also I think we just finished the second batch of episodes production wise.
Okay, so that was these three were the last three of the batch.
Maybe 27 was the first, the next one, but I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'm not sure like if it exactly breaks down 13, 13, 7.
Okay.
But
That's cool. Oh yes, episode. Yeah, we covered episode 27 today. Right. Yes. This is how doing 3 a week. Yes. Numbers.
numbers.
Cool. Mel.
Yeah.
Your bit is back.
We have a capsule countdown.
Woo!
Nicholas somehow managed to last 10 minutes, 10 seconds.
Hell yeah. He was out there.
But
Wow.
part of that is because it did job and just lay there, and Dan literally didn't call him back until the end of the episode.
Still my favorite of the capsule monster designs.
Of the two.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be one more. We haven't seen him yet.
Fucking cool.
I thought there was a third somewhere there that I thought about. I'm like, no, it's only the two right now, huh?
I think there's supposed to be a third, but we haven't seen them yet.
Presumably there's a few of them, and it's just that the gimmick just went away. Everyone collectively forgot the show had a gimmick. Remind me how many episodes it was? 21?
21? It was like from 3 to 24.
It's all from episode 3 to episode 24, they forgot the show's gimmick, and to episode 25, oh, hang on.
They invented Pokemon and just forgot.
They invented Pokemon and forgot they invented Pokemon. Imagine. God, the world without Pokemon.
Yeah.
I would argue it's very easy to imagine the world without Pokemon.
Shut up. Shin Megami Tensei nerd. I say this as someone
Also-
playing Shin Megami Tensei.
I just been staring outside. I don't see any little Pokemon out there.
Oh, I see.
No, I wasn't trying to be like an epic Digimon man right now. Like,
I'm always trying.
mine have cannons on them.
I'm always trying to be
Famous
an epic Digimon man.
Oh, like when we watched Tamers last year.
Yeah, that was a good show for a bit. Big and there's always a bigger dreamer, is the thing.
Have you thought about Fate?
What was it?
Fate.
Fate.
It has to be Fate.
Fate is how are we got it? How are we onto Fate? What's going on?
Oh, I was talking about the last half of Digimon Tamers.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I've kind of scrubbed it from my brain.
You know what? That's fair and reasonable.
I just
I've
remember
still never watched a Digimon anything in my life.
it sucks to be Jury. It shouldn't suck to be
She
Jury.
deserved better. So did Leomon.
I know. Anyway,
We got email.
Oh yes, email. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I will say, we got an email last week that we passed off, and also
Actually, 1 second. Did I not do the production for this? I don't think I did.
Go for it, and then we'll go into the
Go do
email.
it. Go do it.
Yeah. The director is Toshitsugu Suzuki again, and then the writer was known Macross hater Keisuke Fujikawa. Now I know that I didn't because I haven't yet said the phrase known Macross hater Keisuke Fujikawa this recording.
That's me. That's
Yeah.
me.
So we got an email last week that we passed off, and the same person sent another one. So I just read them in advance and condensed the notes, so we could just do both in one go.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So this is by Cedrexar. Once again, thank you very much for all your good contributions.
Secret Force.
Just writing
Chair.
down the email. First, they're excited. They enjoyed, us seeing Alien Canon or getting into Alien Canon. Apparently, that's the only 2 times Canon has appeared in all of Ultraman.
That's hilarious.
So our timing was kind of amazing.
Wow.
This is rubbing up against the balloon thing in Ultra Q as, like, what timing,
Yeah. Also, they did send us, before they mentioned, like, the unused Ultraseven OP. Here it is, just timestamped
Okay.
for Red's convenience.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Also, he is a content mod of the Ultraman wiki, so he does want to give some context to the other side because he knows that we have had complaints about it.
I'm sorry for everything I've ever said.
He does say.
Listen, we're also just known wiki haters, so this isn't anything specific to.
He does say he doesn't judge us for our opinions. He says most of the time summaries are bare bones because one, people just watch the episodes because they can. Two, a lot of episode summaries are actually on the relevant kaiju pages instead of on the episodes themselves.
Okay, we need to get that in order, I think.
And three, people just don't want to write summaries. Maybe Red knows how much effort it is to write summaries.
It is annoying. I do have to. I go every week. I go to a cafe. With like literally, I'm not connected to their Wi-Fi or anything, so that with my laptop and just open Notepad with the wikis, the summaries included, just in case they've got anything that I've missed, and I just type it out for like, it's probably like an hour. I did not do that today, and it took a little longer because I had access to the internet. I got distracted. Yeah, it is annoying. But a lot of the Ultraseven, I would say the Ultraseven summaries have been on the wiki as just a quick review of the Ultraman wiki. Completely unnecessary, but the Ultraseven summaries have been good in the sense that it's mostly premise, and it's pretty brief. Yeah, doing all right.
Yeah, he admits he himself is also not interested in doing summaries because he's more focused on the music pages and general maintenance stuff. So doing summaries on top of that is a lot. He also points out a lot of the staff are English second language speakers, and people also don't want to just be like proofread everyone just because they don't get it exactly right.
That makes sense, especially for a property like Ultraman.
Yeah, he also gives a confession of an anecdote where in 2017 he put a plot summary of the unaired episode 23, which we talked about briefly, on the wiki, and then he also put like the dramatized reason for the reason it's pulled off the air from the Ultraseven I loved on the wiki page. But he was unintentionally
spreading misinformation on the internet.
Yeah, he was not clear of the fact that this is from the drama and isn't actually real, and so people just took that as truth.
So what you're saying is
it's you.
There was a misunderstanding.
Listen to pathetic low lives. Listen to you pathetic low lives, so we'll never amount to anything.
Anyway, yeah.
He also says the wiki is on good terms with Western brand representatives, so there's been an official Blazer collab. For all its issues, the wiki is still like basically the most complete source of Ultraman in one place. Mm-hmm. But obviously there's like more info spread out. I do personally, just me editorializing, not judging Star. I do wish it was not on fandom, but
it is what it is. I am simply looking at the anti-fandom version every time.
He also says that he's skimming through Ultrafight to make a playlist of the most important Ultrafight stuff because Ultrafight is important. So
that sounds like a lot of work. Good luck.
Yeah, when he sends that to us, we'll figure out how to deal with it because
there are.
Make sure when you're making your skip list that you make one that's honest to what Ultrafight is and not not the good episode.
Yeah, so half of it does have to include just recap episodes of Ultraman.
To be true to the experience of watching the show.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. The idea that we have maybe, like, there's a 0% chance that we have maybe stopped someone from watching, like, another Jisoji episode of Ultraman and instead watching the Geronimon episode has haunted me for the last, like, week.
See, I've been laying in bed nodding like this is true to ourselves.
Yeah.
See, this is where we divide on the glass half full, glass half empty. Because what I'm doing is I'm like, I've allowed someone to experience Pigmon eating shit.
He gets squished so good.
So true.
Thank you for the email, by the way.
Is it finished?
No. I'm gonna lead into the second email.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the first email.
Yeah. They predicted on YouTube that 26 would be our favorite episode, and they predict that 28 will be our favorite next week.
Ooh, thank you.
I think I know what episode 28 is, and I am very much looking forward to that episode.
I am not going to look anything up.
He also gives us a trivia of like retcons of original Ultraman lore. It seems that like I'm a bit like unclear of the specifics, but it seems like Ultraman got the beta capsule from Zoffy, maybe, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is retroactively placed. But also in the email they say that Zoffy got the beta capsule from the Blue Crystal Ultraman.
No,
in the races.
Don't make that more relevant.
There was also a point where they were like, oh yeah, Zoffy is Ultraman's older brother, and this is no longer canon.
Oh.
That's I think that's a little that make them more alien. Do not introduce like traditional human family dynamics to them.
Yeah, that would be tragic, wouldn't it? Anyway.
That's fucking ominous.
They also mention non-canon manga episode 0 where Ultraman is, chasing Bemular with his best friend and detective buddy Crod, and then Crod dies and gives Ultraman the beta capsule with his dying breath, and then immediately cuts to the start of Ultraman episode 1.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Some things are best left uncanon.
No, that one needs to be canon again. That one's good.
But
and by good, I don't mean good.
Some foreshadowing on their part, and they're like, "Oh, I hope nobody else gets retroactively shoved into the story of Ultraman 66 despite prior existence not being alluded to." And that's when I go, "What the fuck? Oh no!"
Cool.
But yeah, thank you once again, subjects are, for your comments and emails.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I insulted your wiki.
Basically the fourth host of the podcast, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Can
also,
we get? Do you think we could get Alien Pole on for a guest next week?
Alien Pole? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I bet he'd love it. Who's doing the voices?
Oh god, no, never mind.
It'll be us, but we just make it chipmunk sounding.
Oh, this is so cursed.
I think, just a side, I think Chidricks are also set on YouTube. I also went to get a YouTube. I want to get a Twitter account to interact with you guys, but also that involves getting a Twitter account.
So yeah, no.
Yeah, don't do that. No, save yourself.
I also responded that same thing.
I'm already all in. I will be going down with the ship. It will be sinking.
Same.
I will still be there, posting away about how it's funny that it's sinking.
Maybe get a Blue Sky, and then also maybe I should start using Blue Sky more. It's rough to break habits, folks.
Yeah.
Blue
Sky do be Blue Sky.
Twitter is simply how I post. When I'm posting anywhere else, I'm doing Twitter. That's just how it is. It has trained me, and I realize that's sad, but it is what it is. Anyway, if that's everything, should we go into plug? Thank you for the emails. And
thanks.
Speaking of the Twitter, at @ultra_Q, @ultra_Q UE. I
retweet my Red's fan art.
I'll kill you. I hope that the people who listen to this podcast never misspell the word Q ever again in their life. I am at @gender_redacted on Twitter. Mel.
I'm at Dear Crowns on Twitter and Blue Sky and co-host. We got a podcast email address at ultracubepod@gmail.com. We have the coffee for media acquisition and sub stuff. That's UltraQ Fund Coffee. Just a note, I was irresponsible and just got a bunch of stuff, and so there's now a whole bunch of stuff on the cat site you can get, including the Ultraseven I loved and a bunch of... It's a documentary on women, because that's the thing they did in the 2000s. Something called Ultra Q Kaiju Legend and Ultraman Kaiju Legend. Stuff that haven't had Raws before.
I'm gonna tell you. I do think at some point someone did need to reflect on Ultraman and women.
Yeah, there was like just a duology of documentaries called Ultra Heroine Legend, which is just like, the first one was just like, oh yeah, we made a documentary about Anne and why she's cool because people like Anne, and then
ripped to the woman whose name I literally can't remember from Ultraman.
Fuji?
That's the one. I was thinking Yuriko, and it's not Yuriko.
Because Yuriko's cool.
Mm-hmm. And then the second one that's like, oh, here's the other girls, including like both of your Hiroko Sakurai's roles, someone from Ace and then someone from Tika. And I'm like, yeah, these don't exist. I don't know. I'm thinking like, what are the priority of things we need to sub? I don't know if documentaries are things we'd have much to say about, but also maybe. But I don't know.
They'd be interesting, but I'm not sure we'd like talk about them.
Yeah. I just have to think about like what things we'd be able to talk about in order to prioritize what to sub, because there's a bunch of stuff and we have a few years.
Yeah.
But, we can talk about more of the specifics later.
Cool.
But yeah, the important thing is there's more Ultra media that you can see raw than before. You're welcome. But also, I need money.
Mel is a hero. Give her money. All right, Rasen.
I'm everywhere at Rasenbran. That's RASENBRAN. Except for Facebook. A few weeks ago, I discovered someone made. No, someone made a Rasenbran Facebook page forever ago and just never seemed to use it. At least I hope not.
Adeline.
That's not me. I reported it as fraudulent, and then I got a notification back saying that my request was denied. So fuck Facebook, I guess. But everywhere else, I'm Rasenbrand and I'm around. Go check out my YouTube channel. I'm playing through Armored Core 6 still. I'm on New Game Plus, and I'm going through that game at a pretty good clip, I think, and having a great time, and those have been fun streams. So
nice. All right. Well, join us next time for 3 more episodes of Ultraseven. Hoping it keeps up this level of the show. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Clears Ultraman by frankly miles. It's
yeah.
Which is rip to Ultraman, I guess, is a shame, but oh well. All right. So yeah.
I think it's like.
Oh, go ahead.
28, 29, 30.
28, 29, 30? The episodes. Yes.
Yeah.
28, 29, and 30. So up to episode 30. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Later.
1, 2, 3, let's go. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Try the ice again.